a creature called mycorrhizal fungi. So here's this little creature that burrows into the plant root, that expands out and gives you 10-fold increase in that root surface area. And this massive root extension mines minerals it takes into the plant. It holds moisture, and it produces biochemicals that stimulate the plant's immune system so that we don't have to come in with so much chemicals control on that plant. Now, sorry, I'll just keep moving here. Mycorrhizal fungi are responsible for 30%. This is a new finding. This is a woman called Sarah Wright who discovered that this creature produces a sticky substance called glomalin. And glomalin, it turns out, is the spark for the building of humus in the soil. And we now know that this one creature is responsible for 30% of all of that humus. And we also know that we've only got 10% of this creature left. We've knocked out 90% from our soils. We can put them back. $10 a hectare it costs to re-inoculate them. We can also brew up the other cellulose digesting humus-forming organisms for $5 a hectare, something that can be done, and it needs to be done really quickly. And then we've put this workforce back in the soil. We need to legislate to protect these guys in the soil. What's knocking them around? Farm chemicals, we now know, are really harsh on these critically important humus-building organisms. We know that herbicides, or some of the herbicides, are actually more harsh on soil life than they are on plants. We know that glyphosate, the world's most widely used chemical, the new research suggests it's something of a horror show for soil life. And then we've got other things where over-cultivating in many instances and slicing and dicing up those fungi that build humus. And we can look at how we can manage livestock. Some of you may have seen Alan Savory's wonderful presentation from a few weeks back, now had 1 million viewers on TED, where Alan showed without the slightest trace of a doubt that you can intelligently manage large numbers of livestock and bring them in with what's called cell grazing or intentional grazing and completely change whole landscapes. In fact, reverse desertification and have a huge impact on climate change. So that's probably the other part of the equation. We're talking more humus, but this is two sides of that same story of managing soil and plants. The burning of crop residues needs to be stopped immediately. This is stuff this is a food for the organisms that would have been carbon in the soil that is now going up in a massive cloud of CO2 into the atmosphere. And often you'll see these little particles up there in the ash, and that is the ash. And that ash represents the minerals. This is 5% ash from every 100 kilos that you burn. That is the minerals that grew that crop. And that mineral is now landing next door on your neighbour's farm or maybe the neighbouring town. So demineralisation and a loss of food that would have become humus doesn't make a lot of sense, and we have to stop that fairly soon. We need to put a carbon source with every nitrogen-based fertiliser. So we're talking here about nitrogen being the biggest, most widely used chemical in agriculture or mineral in agriculture. It leaches very readily. We put carbon with it, certain forms of carbon, it stabilises. So we don't have nitrates in our waterway, which are a carcinogen, and we don't have nitrogen on the reef and so forth. Nitrogen also stimulates bacteria in the soil, and this is the most abundant creature in the soil, and bacteria go into hyperdrive after a feed of nitrogen, and they consume carbon. It's actually the major way that we lost so much of our humus from the soil, was not understanding this. We need to put carbon with our fertilisers. It can be compost, it can be a material called humates. Humates are this sort of like a humus concentrate that we can extract from brown coal. And humic acid, one of those concentrates, turns out to be the most powerful known stimulant of cellulose digesting or humus building fungi. So it's a hugely important, indispensable humus building tool. Now, what we're looking at here is Norfolk Island, one of my favourite places in the world. And on the left is a little workshop where we dug up a lawn, we put in some humus, we put in some vermicompost, we put in minerals, mycorrhizal fungi, mulched the area. We came back exactly 4 weeks later, and we're looking at an amazing food garden with food with forgotten flavours, increased medicinal qualities, and so forth. So we're teaching the locals how to produce their own food, as we may all have to do at some point. Finally, in this little segment, something outside of humus, and it's really been initiated by John Hewson, and it's some remarkable work that he's been doing that's receiving international attention at the moment. John's argument simply is the super funds represent this massive body, really it represents our future and our money. And currently 55% of our super funds are invested in companies involved in non-renewable resources, the BHPs, the Woodside Petroleums and so forth. 2% of our money in our future is invested in those involved looking at renewable forms of energy. Human initiative knows no bounds if it's well funded. We can change that equation, as John's pushing for, by lobbying our super funds and having that money directed in something that's actually going to save the day. Humus does more than just offer climate change reversal. We see, for example, the National Bank saying, look, we're lending all this money for farmers to buy the neighbour's farm. The loans are falling over. We need to redefine what determines profitability in agriculture. And so they did quite a comprehensive study for 3 years. The end result surprised everyone. The determinant of profitability in agriculture was humus, was how much organic matter you had. Every 0.15% made a significant increase in your profitability. So how good is it that we pay carbon credits for farmers to increase their profitability, the most important profession that have been struggling for so long? It's a good idea. Humus is our greatest water management tool. We're talking about 3/4 of the Earth's covered in water, and 3% of that water is fresh. And of that 3%, 90% is used for irrigation, but it's not used very smartly. We store our water in huge dams. I'll go back here, I'm just going to get this. In huge dams with massive amounts of evaporation. We pump that water with a large carbon footprint to the farm, and we pump it out and lose more through evaporation during the irrigation process. Compare that to humus. Humus holds its own weight in water. Humus is beneath the ground, so it can't evaporate. The plant root takes it as it needs it. A 1% increase in organic matter per hectare results in 170,000 litres of water that can be stored in that soil that couldn't previously. This mat, which is 2 square metres, 34 litres, we can now store because you decided to compost your green waste and your food scraps. There's no better way to manage water than that. Humus also has a massive impact upon the nutritional value of our food. There are numerous studies now that have quantified lots of minerals in our food. There's an argument the food we're consuming currently contains just 20% of the nutrition found in the food consumed by our grandparents. And a large part of that is the soil. We are what we eat. What we eat comes from the soils, and the soils are a shadow of their former self. A big part of that decimation of our soil is a loss of humus. Humus is the only thing that holds all minerals. It stores all minerals in the soil, and humus is the home base for the organisms that deliver the minerals. There is a microbe behind every mineral. Humus or microbes are the bridge between the soil and the plant, literally. We build the humus, we build the nutrient density, we build the health of every one of us. Humus also reduces chemical contamination of our soils. We're seeing constantly that the higher the humus levels, the less the need for chemical intervention. We're talking about various issues in relation to the chemical contaminants on our food. Bioaccumulation, we're talking about the thing called the cocktail effect. The bottom line is our need for chemicals is based upon, a fungal disease is not a deficiency of a fungicide. We're looking at a plant that didn't have the mineral base and didn't have the microbe base to otherwise protect itself. We build the humus, we change that. Humus is also the storage system for nitrate and nitrogen. Our waters, our drinking water even is contaminated with that carcinogen. Humus is the only thing in the soil that can store it. It's also a carbon filter, which isolates heavy metals and chemical residues and keeps them from us. It plays a huge role in soil structure. Here we see some vermicompost added here to the soil. You couldn't push a penetrometer more than this far into the soil. 6 weeks later, you can push it to its hilt. The soil can now breathe. The soil can produce nutrient-dense food with forgotten flavours and a lot more medicinal qualities. So, in conclusion, humus is literally the lifeblood of this planet, and we've used and abused this magical substance to the point that our very future is at stake. When we build humus in the soil, we reclaim carbon from the atmosphere. We increase the health of soil life, of plants and animals. We improve the management of precious water. We increase the vitality and resilience of every last one of us. We need to return to that ancient wisdom that saw the definition of humus and human as being of and for the earth. And we need to reclaim the humility to work with nature rather than this constant battle and the constant striving to master her. All of us can be involved. Lobby your super funds, push your councils to change, compost, buy your food from those that are doing the right thing, and each and every one of us can help save the day with humus. Thank you.
Okay, Prof.
Okay, before we go to the third video, and I'm just sharing what I made a big mistake in. 5 years back, of course, I learned about biochar 5 years ago, and I applied it, but I didn't know the right way to apply it. So when you talk about humus, I mean, we do compost. I mean, that's what in organic farming we do. But this is what I've done. But I realized that after 1-2 seasons, I still have to do more composting to plant vegetables. Now, the shortcut here now is biochar. So, but I didn't know the right way to apply biochar because we have to vaccinate it. You have to charge it. And I did the wrong way of charging. So you will learn. So the shortcut of just making humus and making more fertilizer, the magic is actually mix it with biochar, and it will hold your water, it will hold your humus, your compost, and it actually cures a lot of plant issue because it is a store, it is a factory to manufacture. It's a housing for microbes. It could be fungi, it could be all sorts of things. Yeah. So the next one, shortcut, is on biochar. Yeah. So you play the next one because I've made this mistake. I've been farming for 16 years, and I realized only recently I've made a mistake, and now I'm trying to get about 20 tons of charcoal. Yeah, I got 20 tons of wood. So out of that, maybe we're left with about 2 tons, you know, when you do it properly, or 2 or 3 tons. So I realized that I have to put biochar to everything that I do, so it will last much longer. Because the record, you know, they're talking about it will last you 1,000 years. You know, in the Amazon where they found it is about 700 years. It's still working, so we now know. So please play the third video on biochar, please.
Sure. Hold on, Let me just switch on.
И когда там что-то резко шевельнулось, резко дернулось, меня просто переклинило, мне было очень сильно страшно. Я постоянно слышала обстрелы. Стало, начали сильно...
Miss Esther, you can skip that.
Okay.
Will not be enough to put the carbon genie back in the bottle. But biochar is different. In addition to avoiding emissions, biochar sequesters carbon in the soil, removing it from the atmosphere. We call this carbon negative, and carbon negative is planet positive. Biochar is among a handful of carbon negative agricultural strategies that actually restore natural ecosystem properties. Industrial agriculture has been phenomenally successful in providing us with cheap, abundant food, but is totally dependent on
Is this the beginning? I think this is already been played. Can you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you start from the beginning. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sorry.
He called it biochar.
Maybe right to the front, yes.
2008.
Yeah. Okay.
In April 2008, I was driving from Panama to Costa Rica, where I was living at the time, catching up on my podcasts. One of my favorites is Science Friday, which covers a variety of topics through guest interviews. The guest on this particular segment was talking about using charcoal as fertilizer. He called it biochar, and he said it also helps in the fight against climate change. Now, I know what fertilizer is, and charcoal is not. And I know a little bit about climate change too, and was mystified by what charcoal might have to do with it. I first learned about the threat of global warming 40 years ago as a student in the environmental studies program. I went on to do graduate work in botany, where I learned, among other things, what fertilizer is.
Now, I'd long since left the world of academia behind, but it left me with a lifelong commitment to science literacy and a deep concern for the environment. Inspired by the work of scientists, activists like James Hansen and Tim Flannery, I felt motivated to do something about humanity's looming sustainability crisis. But what? At the next opportunity, I Googled this thing called biochar, and my life has not been the same since. While not a fertilizer per se, char improves fertility in ways not previously appreciated, and it persists in the soil, sequestering carbon in the fight against climate change. Best of all, you make biochar by building things and burning stuff, which to me sounded like a good time. By complete serendipity, a philanthropic funded biochar project was getting underway in Costa Rica. So I inserted myself into the circle of participants as a volunteer and quickly found myself linked into a global community of scientists, sustainability advocates, and entrepreneurs, all dedicated to investigating and promoting this fresh new idea called biochar. Now, we all know about charcoal from the grill. A more refined version known as activated charcoal is in your home water filter and is also used in industry. Now, while charcoal is typically made from wood, biochar can be made from most any form of biomass. When these materials are heated in an oxygen-starved environment, they thermally decompose into combustible gases, tars and oil, and the solid residue we call biochar. The process is known as pyrolysis, and it's broadly scalable. Char-producing cook stoves save fuel and reduce emissions while increasing harvests and prosperity for subsistence farmers. Megawatt-scale, grid-connected biomass plants can be profitable in today's electric generating markets. And this is one of my favorites, a multi-stage process that transforms raw biomass directly into liquid fuels to power the transportation fleets of our future. And their first pilot plant is operational today. What all these technologies have in common is they produce copious amounts of biochar. Now, making charcoal is one of the most ancient of the industrial arts, and pyrolyzing organic debris for energy is not new either. Figuring out that you can use the granular waste from these processes to enrich soils while combating climate change, that's what's new. Or maybe not so new, and therein lies the story. In 1541, Francisco Pizarro, having conquered the Incan Empire, sent a group of soldiers to explore the other side of the Andes. The expedition met with mishaps, but Francisco de Orellana led a band of survivors on a 2-year odyssey down the Amazon River, eventually returning to Spain, where he told the royal court of fabulous cities, of fertile fields, and of healthy natives who enjoyed a diverse diet, and from whose bounty he was able to lead his countrymen safely home. The next expedition to explore that vastness didn't set out for nearly 20 years and found only jungle, none of the civilization they expected. Orellana, meanwhile, had fallen from favor with the crown, and so his account was soon forgotten. A handful of discoveries from diverse disciplines has changed this view, and I hope you find the revelations as fascinating as I do. Funerary urns and decorated pottery are uncovered by archaeologists. Soil scientists find deep deposits containing pottery shards and fish bones and lots of charcoal. Known locally as terra preta, these dark earths are prized for their fertility. And perhaps most striking, a geographer flying across the interior detects large-scale geometric tracings on the recently logged landscape below, vestiges of cities and highways. Anthropologists these days now describe Amazonia at the time of contact as the scene of a thriving civilization. Cities featuring massive earthworks were linked to satellite settlements surrounded by fertile fields of char-rich terra preta soils. Inhabitants numbering in the millions live sustainable agrarian lives here. Orellana had spoken truly, but diseases borne by his own men, for which the native immune systems had no resistance, decimated the population, and the jungle erased their traces. Who knew? Today, as tropical forests peeled back and planted to petrochemical-intensive monocultures, sites of terra preta soil up to 2 meters deep are detected. still fertile hundreds of years after they were first created. What did the natives know that the colonists didn't and that their contemporaries still haven't figured out? A little bit of biology may help explain. Plants pull off what is arguably life's most impressive magic trick. From thin air, plain daylight, they increase in mass by sipping a bit of water and exhaling pure oxygen. The sleight of hand for this trick is the scantling of mineral nutrients plants pinch from the soil. No minerals, no magic. Chief among these is nitrogen. The most abundant gas in our atmosphere, nitrogen is stubbornly stable. Plants can't crack it. From the dawn of agriculture, farmers have relied upon manures. That started changing about 100 years ago with the invention of a process for making nitrogen fertilizer using natural gas. Whether of chemical or organic origin, fertilizer is just a blend of those mineral nutrients that plants require in order to grow. Fertility, on the other hand, is not so easily defined. It's a little bit like pornography. Or in the words of Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart, I know it when I see it. Fertility is an emergent property of complex interacting physical and biotic factors. Fertile soils hold water while allowing for drainage to make nutrients available while preventing their leaching. Fertile soils contain lots of organic matter in various stages of decay, and they're teeming with microbes. A spoonful may contain billions, all down there eating and excreting and dividing and dying and cycling nutrients that plants can absorb. The hapless colonists who first farmed the jungle used slash and burn, a technique which works well enough in the temperate zone, but in the humid tropics, biology is on hyperdrive, competition for nutrients so intense that organic debris is quickly recycled back into the canopy. The ashes provide a shot of nutrients that quickly get leached because there's no organic matter in the soil to hold them. Biochar can serve as a surrogate for natural organic matter. Its highly porous structure provides habitat for microbes, and it has a weakly negative surface charge so that nutrients cling to it like a magnet, and its stable carbon structure resists decay, so biochar soils are persistently fertile. Biochar improves the productivity of agriculture, especially in areas of low rainfall or nutrient-poor soils. And in addition to sequestering carbon, biochar also suppresses emissions of nitrous oxide and methane, potent greenhouse gases that are generated by agricultural soils. Beyond agriculture, biochar's dual properties of filtration and supporting biology make it a powerful tool for a variety of other environmental challenges. So here's the big idea. Practice massively on a global scale, relying primarily on waste biomass without displacing food crops, without impacting natural areas, and accounting for directly sequestered carbon, avoided agricultural emissions, and displaced fossil fuel use. Biochar can offset 12% of human greenhouse gas production. And biochar is one of many technologies in renewable energy and other areas capable of comparable or even greater emissions reductions with the potential to completely decarbonize our economy. All these ideas are scientifically proven, technically feasible, and many of them are in practice today. This curve may look familiar. It records the steady climb of CO2 concentrations in our atmosphere. Now, if we think of this chart as civilization's climate change report card, we'll get a good grade when the curve starts coming back down. The thing is, even if we stop burning fossil fuels today, and so far we've yet to even slow down, all we'll succeed in doing is arresting the upward trend of this curve. Curtailing greenhouse gas emissions alone will not be enough to put the carbon genie back in the bottle. But biochar is different. In addition to avoiding emissions, biochar sequesters carbon in the soil, removing it from the atmosphere. We call this carbon negative, and carbon negative is planet positive. Biochar is among a handful of carbon negative agricultural strategies that actually restore natural ecosystem properties. Industrial agriculture has been phenomenally successful in providing us with cheap, abundant food, but is totally dependent on petrochemicals. And we're all paying the price in the form of eroded soils, polluted waterways, oceanic dead zones, and other externalities that pile on to the global triple threat of biodiversity loss, desertification, and climate change. The soil holds the key. The Earth's soils contain more carbon than the atmosphere and terrestrial ecosystems combined. Yet we're losing them at a rate approaching 100 billion tons a year. It can take 1,000 years to form a single inch of topsoil in nature. Biochar and related agricultural practices jumpstart soil formation. By globally adopting these soil building strategies, along with the technologies to wean us off fossil fuels, we can put the carbon genie back in the bottle.
Okay, Prof. Yeah. Prof. Anthony? Yeah.
I wanted all to learn that there are shortcuts. I've made the mistake, you all should not make the mistake. So instead of just composting and composting, now you do charcoal making. Yeah. Now the material to make charcoal, everything can be used. Is making charcoal, basically burning with less oxygen. Now, if you go to YouTube, there are so many different ways of making charcoal. It's a little bit complicated, and you know, it takes some expense, takes some skill. So the easy way of making charcoal is just have fun, have a campfire, burn it, and then when all are amber, pour water over. This is what I do. Simple. So in many of the process, you have to cut it into the right size, and you know, and then you have to have container. So I make charcoal very simple. You know, you can dig a hole and you just keep, you know, make it burning with less oxygen. Yeah. So now I'm just making as many charcoal. Now, charcoal, when you use for farming, you charge it out, it's called biochar. So don't confuse that. Biochar is something different, it's charcoal. Yeah. And anything you can make from charcoal, you know, leaves, you know, if you don't burn to ash, just when it's hot, you know, we get red, pour water. If some may not burn, you do it again. It's okay. You wet it, it's okay. You soak it in water, it's fine, because later on you put compost, they need to be wet so that you have to soak it for 10 to 20 days to charge it up. Then only you can use into your compost or mix with the humus and then plant. If not, the plant will be suffering because of the negative charge in the biochar. You'll take the nutrients out. So this is something which I felt that is very important. Yes, we use charcoal. It's basically charcoal, but you smash it up to small pieces. You know, 1 gram of biochar or charcoal is equivalent to about 400 meters square. It's like 1 basketball court. You squeeze it into 1 sugar cube. Yeah, that's how much space biochar is. Yeah, it's like housing for microbes and water. Yeah, so yes, we talk about open burning. They don't do it, but you're not burning a lot. You burn and then you pour water. So you're not getting long time. Yes, you cannot do open burning, but you're making charcoal. Yeah. So I know you won't get so much ash because you're doing controlled burning. Yeah, you will have some smoke. If you make charcoal also, they will be smoking for 4 or 5 days. So you just burn till it become hot amber, then you pour water. Yeah, So just a little bit of burn, then you, yeah. But of course, you have very big log to, you take a long time, so you can actually cover. What I do sometimes, I burn already, I use zinc cover, I cover it up, I put sand over it. So it's like a cleaner. Yeah, slowly it will burn inside, smoke a bit. Yeah, making charcoal, you bound to have some smoke. So this how long it takes to burn. It depends how big your wood is. The more wood you have, it may take longer. So the shortcut is just burn, and then if you have zinc, you cover it up. You dig a hole. Yeah, you dig a hole. You put all the, first of all, the first layer right at the bottom are small wood. They can burn one. Small leaf, dry leaf, wood. And then you have the bigger one on top, and then you have smaller one on top. So after they burn to a certain thing, you cover it up with zinc, and then you, to seal the hole, you just cover all around with sand, but you still leave the front burning. Yeah, a bit of smoke, oxygen can come in slightly. So it's a slow burn. Sometimes it may take you 8 hours, 10 hours. It's a slow burn to make the charcoal. So it's not big smoke coming out. Yeah, it's not really open burning, because you don't burn everything. So at the end, you may have some ash, but that's accepted. If you go to a normal clean, you still have ashes. Yeah. How do you charge the charcoal? Yeah, that's a very good question. This is my big mistake. Yeah. You have compost, you have humus that already you have made. So you mix it with, basically you make it liquid. Yeah, you mix it with liquid. Maybe about 20% of charcoal and 80% will be with the water and the compost. Yeah, you mix it, you keep it for 10 days. That's how you charge your charcoal. It becomes biochar. You have to charge. That's my mistake before. I didn't listen deep enough. I mix my compost with my charcoal, and then I straight away I plant. The plant actually suffer because the charcoal would take off the nutrient away from the plant because it's got a negative charge. Yeah, and the microbes will all go into the charcoal, housing for them. So that's how it is. So you have to charge the charcoal first before you go and plant.
Okay, maybe I get it. Get clarification, Prof. You say that that
Pardon?
means. Can I get clarification from you? That means the charcoal. Okay, that means you have just how you say burns it. Okay, right now, and then you pour water. Okay, right now. Then to charge it, you got to soak it in the water for 20 days. That's called charge, is it?
Yeah, 10 to 20 days, but it must combine with compost.
Okay. Before you put into the plant, that means that you just say you have a pail.
That's right.
The charcoal and the compost, soak it with water for 20 days first. Then
that's
put
right.
it into the water, into the plant.
Correct.
I think I got it. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Now the question now also, how to then we make humus? Just now you say we make compost. I know how to make compost, but how to make humus?
Okay. Yeah, actually, fertilizer is humus. The general term for fertilizer, the key is humus.
Okay.
Yeah, humus can be made from any organic matter. Basically, they leaf, your food. Don't worry about, people say, oh, you must have so much brown and so much green. Forget about all this specialty. Whatever you have in your kitchen, you have in your garden, just mix it up. You don't worry. Yeah, let nature make it roll, because when you bury it in your garden, you're bound to have worms and other fungi. They will all mix it up. You will find a formula. Then later on, if you want to speed it up with your making your fertilizer, humus, yeah, you will learn about yeah, it becomes a little bit confusing. Local microbe, yeah. So you cultivate the microbe, you feed it with rice, boiled rice, or sweet potato, or sugar to grow the microbe, so that you can mix your compost much richer. See, we are playing with microbes all the time. When I say microbe, it's a combination of fungi, bacteria, all the soil organism in the soil. Yeah. So the soil is living.
Okay.
Yeah. The humus is living. The soil is living. It's a dynamic situation. So when you put it in, now, if you're growing in a pot, yeah, there's limited space. So charcoal is very good to hold housing for the microbes. Yeah. But if you are growing on land, if you have land, that is even better, because the roots of the plant can only go so far. So that's where the mycorrhizal fungi, the second speaker talked about mycorrhizal fungi, will extend the reach of the plant using the fungi to go much further out to get their nutrients. Yeah. So that's where farming kill these microbes, kill the fungi. Yeah. So here we help the fungi, help the plant using fungi to mycorrhizal fungi to move microbes, to move minerals far away to the roots and into the plant system. So this is how, if it's on the ground, yeah, in the pot you cannot do too much, but the plants can talk to each other through mycorrhizal fungi, and the plants will supply carbohydrate, sugar, to the fungi, and the fungi will supply whatever necessary the plant need. It's a barter trade. Yeah. So in traditional organic farming, the soil is living and the plants can talk to each other. I need this, you get me this, I give you that.
Yeah.
So they all are connected with each other. In a forest, they're all talking. Yeah. So if you have got plants that you can grow onto the ground, it is an advantage. Yeah. But do not, farming now, you don't till. Natural farming don't till, because we want to keep the fungi, we want to keep the earthworm, we want to keep all the microbes without. So you just add on, and so that it's soft, it's easy for the roots to grow, so you don't step on it.
Okay. Now, maybe do you mind you repeat just now how to make the humus?
Of fertilizer.
Okay, Prof. Just to ask again, just now you mentioned humus is just to put everything in. You say not to worry, put everything in. Isn't that same as composting then?
Yes. It is composting, but it become humus. They call it compost fertilizer. Yeah, okay. It is humus.
Okay, that means when we make humus, it's actually when we compose. I mean, all our food waste we put is actually the end result is humus. Correct?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I got
Correct.
it. Okay, I got it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you're feeding the soil. Yeah, you're feeding the soil. Yeah.
Okay.
The soil is a living organism, it's alive. It's not dead. But when you put artificial fertilizer, you kill the soil.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
correct.
You kill the soil. Then it becomes really, then because the fungi, the root system, they hold it together. So when it rains, there's nothing to hold it. The humus will also hold things together. So it will just leach away. It will just keep disappearing. That's why the first talk about, we have lost so much of the topsoil. And in the tropical forest, it's worse. Because of the heavy rain, we have very little humus, very little fertile soil. So that's why if you go to the forest, our trees, the roots are not deep. We are what called buttress tree. The roots are spreading on top. Yeah, because the richness of the soil is just the top level. So the roots spread out.
Okay.
While in temperate forests, because they don't have so much heavy rain, the roots are deep in. So our trees, you notice a lot of trees have got buttress. You know, they use that to hold themselves.
Okay. Now, next question. Just now you said to charge the charcoal is to put water and charcoal. Is there any percentage to these three ingredients?
Yes. You took about 20% charcoal and 80% will be the, well, you know, when you plant also So basically you don't need so much, then you go straight into the planting. Yeah, 20% charcoal is more than enough. Now, someone asked me, I just want to reply. In the video you played, the tech speaker was speaking on the importance of soil and nothing but soil. What is your opinion of hydroponic, which do not use any soil at all? Now, do you know what you feed the plant with in hydroponic?
Chemical.
Yes. NPK.
Yes.
The plant, okay, say you plant tomato. It may look very good, but you don't have all the micronutrients.
Yes.
Yeah. You 60 over micronutrient to make it really full. So you can get it big and red, but it is not very much. Yeah, not very strong. That's why today vitamin, and the multivitamin has only about 20 over minerals. But if you really want more, in natural farming, sometimes you feed the plant with salt water, raw salt. If you are living beside sea, where I'm in the beach resort, I take salt water from the sea. I dilute it maybe 30 times. I feed the plant twice a year, because it will give you all the 60 over minerals for the plant to be healthy. So that's how you do it. Okay, someone asked me about tilling. Okay, before that they will talk about hot compost. Yeah. Yes, hot compost, they are killing all the microbes. Some are not, some are bad microbes. But I tend to do natural farming. I just increase the microbes into the compost, so they fight with each other, good and bad. You know, there are more good microbes than bad normally. So I use a traditional, but my composting is about 4 to 6 weeks. Hot compost, you can do it in a day or 2 days. Yeah, but you have to do a lot of work. You have to churn all the thing into small pieces, so more oxygen, so they can work faster. So that is a lot more work. It costs you need a machine to chop everything up small. Then you can make it fast, because someone talked about hot composting. Next one is about tilling. Yes, you can do some small tilling, 3-4 inches. Yeah. Some people still want to do some tilling. Yes. Don't go too much of tilling, because you want the mycorrhiza to be there. You want the fungi to be working. But if you have got biochar, it actually creates space. So much less tilling need to be done. Even in commercial farming now, a lot of them from chemical, they're actually going to cover crop and they do less tilling. Yeah, in commercial, because they realize that you have to hybrid the system. So they do a combination to reduce the cost also using nature. So more and more commercial sort of farming that use chemical are trying to reduce it, because it's getting more expensive. Chemicals and herbicides makes the farmer poor. Yeah. natural farming, you don't buy anything. That's why the government do not support natural farmer. They don't get anything. No kickback, no commission.
Yes.
Because you make everything yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. People
So-
people just want to sell the fertilizer, whereas actually we can do our own
Correct.
fertilizer. We don't need to buy any
Correct.
fertilizer.
Correct.
Exactly. Okay. How about microgreen plantation? Yeah, Prof.
I'm not an expert on microgreen, but you know, because microgreen can grow in dark places. Yeah. Very simple. Tauge. Just to grow tauge is very straightforward. That's one of the microgreen, because you don't have to use sunlight sometimes, because they are from the seed. The seed itself has already got the nutrient to grow small plant. Yes, small, and you can sell. So it is quite good business. Lots of people are doing microgreen because you don't need any soil, because the nutrients are already in the seed itself. Yeah, it's very fast turnover. So many people are making money from microgreen. It's easy. Now, someone asked me about biochar hot compost. I would not suggest it, because you're killing the fungi you're trying to breed. Yeah. So you do it normally, because you have to think. Hot compost, the temperature 80, 70, 80 degrees. You'll kill all the microbes you're trying to host. So you never do hot compost with biochar. It's cool. You let them live, you let them grow. They occupy the space.
6:30.
Yeah, they occupy.
Okay, sorry. I think okay. Sorry, someone just interrupted. Okay, continue. Yeah. Sorry, Prof.
Yeah. So I would not do a biochar into hot compost. Normally hot compost is trying to kill okay. I would suggest hot compost when you have a disease. You have a crop disease that you have been affected, then you do hot compost to kill all the things inside there. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, now I think there are two persons here who have raised their hand, Mr. Jordan and Lily. Maybe Lily first. Lily, you have some question to ask, Lily? You can unmute yourself. Is it you want to ask question? That's why you raise your hand? Lily and Jordan Tan? Yes or no? Or just accidentally?
Maybe I ask first, Jordan.
Okay, yes, Jordan. Jordan, want to ask a question quick? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Professor, you want to explain a bit about how these tree called Acacia magnum, they can extract nitrogen from the air, because their roots has got this bacteria, nitrogen fixing bacteria, and they are doing very well. I think the same with this moringa also. That's why they are doing so well, because in any kind of soil you plant them, they actually do very well, you see. So if we can extract this bacteria from the soil and put it in our soil, I think it will be very good, right?
Yeah. I mean, theoretically, it's correct. If you want to have any bacteria, you can groom that bacteria by choosing the plant that's able to extract. So, for example, if you want to have very fast microbes, you go to a bamboo plant. The bamboo has got microbes that work very fast because they have to grow very fast. So very often in microbes you want to breed, you go to the plant that can grow very fast. That's what I play with microbes. I grow microbes. Like now I'm growing microbes that eat heavy oil. Yeah, because it took me more than a year to grow the microbes. Once you have the microbes, it's very easy. So your suggestion is correct. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
You can grow the microbes.
But I guess it's only expert like you lah. Maybe.
No. You have to be very patient. But theoretically, it's correct. Yeah. It's nothing wrong. It's true. Yeah. Like I grow many different microbes because they will work with each other. That's why in farming, it's good to have mixed farming, because different plants have got different mineral they want, so they can share with each other one. Yeah, it's companion planting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are saying that by just planting bamboo, have that kind of I just want to confirm what you said lah. you say that bamboo has a certain microbe. So by planting that bamboo, you will have that microbes already in that
Yes.
land. Is it?
Yeah, no. You will take the microbe, the local microbes from the bamboo. You have to grow them from the leaf and just below the bamboo plant. So the microbes will be there. You will not be far away, but you want the bamboo microbes because they grow very fast. They will duplicate themselves very fast, and then that's how you mix it to grow more. Yeah.
So okay, I think that's another
the same theory of
that's another process to grow microbes, I guess, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
When you do,
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then I think another question is that what about aeroponics? Is it using the same chemical fertilizer like hydroponics? Aeroponics. Yeah.
Aeroponic is new, but basically all plants need oxygen. So this system is they grow it. If you look at the plant today, you go to YouTube. I also do this. A normal pot, you only have holes at the bottom. But if you want the plants grow better and faster, you get a pot with holes at the side. Yeah. But now the aeroponic is just like hydroponic. It's air, but more air. You know, the roots are hanging in the air, so they can grow. They have more oxygen.
Okay, but still it's in the soil, but have more holes only, right? That's still okay.
That's right.
Yeah, instead of just hydroponic.
So you see, plants roots need oxygen. Most of the microbes that are useful need oxygen. Yeah, and that's why you grow on all plants. The root system is still there. They decompose. They have air holes inside. That's why biochar provides aeration. There is air pockets all inside. So the plants, the microbes will need that oxygen. Yeah.
Okay.
So there are many concepts taking place. They are not wrong. They are right. Yeah. It's just that how you want to approach to grow. You can grow hydroponic. You can go aquaponic. So you decide. Yeah.
Okay. So that means that maybe just to repeat the process is that, and I think Serene Chong here says, right, true. I think you heat the charcoal to amber, not so red, amber will do, right? Not. Then you add water.
Amber, yes. And then you put water over it.
Okay. And then also the other compost, okay, and then soak it for 10 to 20 days. Then only ready for use. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Another question is, does perlite similar quality as charcoal? Perlite.
Sorry, I cannot hear.
Perlite. Is perlite similar quality as charcoal?
No. Perlite is also used, but charcoal has got the surface area. Yeah.
Okay.
Perlite is a mineral actually. Okay. Yeah, but this charcoal is
different.
It's inert. It's just a housing, that's all.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe just to understand about orchid, I guess the previous question also asked, how come orchid need charcoal? Remember just now Prof said that charcoal, if just on its own, actually
remember they grow charcoal. Orchid, orchid, we have been growing orchid as far as a child. People grow orchid with charcoal, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So orchid can have orchid, you see, that's why these are old knowledge. Yeah. They realize that the charcoal will have microbes inside air. So you can look at orchids, they put the roots around the charcoal.
Okay.
Yeah, that means what is there in the charcoal? You have actually your microbes that's living there, creating fertilizer and this and that. But you need to charge your charcoal. Yeah. Just pure charcoal has nothing. It's just like a condominium with nothing inside. So you need to charge it. You need to vaccinate it. So the system of mixing with compost, liquid, keep it for 10 to 20 days. Then you can grow.
Okay.
Yeah. You try growing orchid without charging it, you see that there's a big difference.
I see. Okay. Now, last question here is that do we still need to break the charcoal to smaller pieces
Yes,
for biochar?
you should break the charcoal to smaller pieces so
Okay.
the accessibility will be much better.
Better.
In a big piece, it's very hard for everything to go very deep inside.
Okay. Got it. I think that's about it. Okay. Yeah, we do not, as I said, do not want to take so much, of Prof time. Okay. I think that's all. But definitely we will have Prof back. Okay, in 2 weeks time. Okay, right? Yeah. So right now, how much water to add? That just now said already is 20-80. Yeah, 20% charcoal, 80% water. Right. That's
80% with your compost. Yeah.
Compost
with your
and
compost,
water.
Yeah.
Compost and water.
Yeah,
Right.
water and soil. Yeah, that's right.
All right. Okay, great. Thank you once again. Yeah, I think shall we just show our appreciation by switching on your video, and really give him a clap. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we take a photograph with hands up. Okay, really give a good hands up, and a big thumbs up, to our Prof Anthony Wong. Right. Come, let us show our appreciation. Yeah. I've been putting up a big thumbs up, okay, to our Prof Wong. Really, I so appreciate it. I learned so much from you. Really, thank you. Yeah. I mean, the video by I watching alone, I don't think sometimes I understand. But after you explain, wow, it's so interesting, right? The video, right? Okay, come. Ready? Yep. Everyone ready? Shall we take a photo? After 3, yeah? 1, 2, 3. Okay, then the next page. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, and the next page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, that's about it. I think